The Name Jar by Yangsook, Choi. Through the school bus window, Unhei looked out at the strange buildings and houses on her way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Unhei's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she had said. "My name?" Unhei had wondered. Again she took out the red pouch and looked at the wooden block with her name carved in it. As she ran her fingers along the grooves and ridges of the Korean letters, she pictured her grandmother's smile. "Is that thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Unhei, surprising her. Unhei looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Unhei answered quickly, putting the pouch back into her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Unhei," said Unhei. "Unhei?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Nay," some kids chanted. No, Unhei corrected. "It is spelled Unhei. It's pronounced Unhei." "Oh, it's you-hey," said a boy. "Like you. Hey. What about hey, you?" Just then the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Unhei hurried off. "You-hey, bye-bye," the kids yelled as she left. Unhei felt herself blush. Unhei stood in the doorway of her new, noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to other rooms, but her face still felt red. "Are you going in?" asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. "You're the new girl, right?" he said cheerfully. Unhei nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotis, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotis thanked him and greeted Unhei. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. "She and her family just arrived from Korea last week." Unhei smiled broadly and tried not to show she was nervous. "What's your name?" shouted someone. Unhei pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." As Mr. Kokoda showed her to her desk, she felt many round, curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she have a name?" she heard somebody whisper. "Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and she needs a new identity," a boy replied. On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Unhei kept thinking about her name. "How was school, Unhei?" her mother asked when she walked in. "Did you understand the teacher?" Unhei simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set the red pouch by the photograph of her grandmother. "I'm glad you are learning English well," said her mother. "You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you are a good Korean." "I will," replied Unhei, "but I think I would like my own American name," she said quickly. Her mother looked at her in surprise. "Why? Unhei is a beautiful name. Your grandmother and I went to the name master for it." "But it's so hard to pronounce," Unhei complained. "I don't want to be different from all the American kids." "You are different, Unhei," her mother said, "and that's a good thing." Unhei just wrinkled her nose. Later that day, Unhei and her mother went grocery shopping in the new neighborhood. They passed Fidel's Falafel, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti-painted garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market. The sign was in both English and Korean. Her mother picked up a cabbage to make kimchi, Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Unhei's favorite for soup. This made Unhei smile. Just because we've moved to America, said her mother, doesn't mean we have to stop eating Korean food. At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Unhei. Helping your mother with the shopping? He asked. Unhei nodded. I am Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Unhei, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Does it mean grace? Unhei nodded. My mother and grandmother went to the name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said as he put the groceries in the bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Unhei. That evening, Unhei stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name's Amanda, she said cheerfully, and then she wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing sounded right. Nothing felt right. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried, and she began to brush her teeth. Hi, she said to the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste. The next morning when Unhei arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with pieces of paper in it. Unhei took one out and read out loud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Unhei took out the rest of the paper. Tamala, she read. I got that from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Unhei nodded and unfolded another paper. Wednesday? Yeah, you came here on a Wednesday, said Ralph. Oh, thank you for all your help. A smile spread across Unhei's face. Ralph quickly said, We'll put more names in, and you can pick whatever you like. Or pick them all, and you'll have the longest name in history. At 3:00, the bell rang at the end of the day. Unhei looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but in a different place. And she watched the other kids leaving in groups. Hey, a familiar face called to her. Unhei turned around to see the curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said. And you? Don't you have any name? Unhei thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and she took out the small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and then stamped it on a piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Do you want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, said Joey. Can I keep the paper? Sure, said Unhei. And then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus. Every day the jar got fuller with more names, and Unhei read them all. She found a few of the names she liked, Miranda, Stella, and Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at snack time. I put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They are my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw one, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. Well, that's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie argued. Everyone thought about that. When Unhei got home from school that day, her little brother ran to give her a letter. It's from her grandma. She opened it quickly. It said, To my Unhei, I hope you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, and no matter how different America is from Korea, you will always be my Unhei. your grandma forever. Unhei took out the stamp and filled the paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. On Saturday, Unhei walked into Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. "Hi, Unhei." "Hi, Mr. Kim," replied Unhei. She felt as if she was back in her old neighborhood in Korea. "Hey," said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. "Your name is Unhei?" he asked her with his eyes open wide. Unhei looked quickly at Mr. Kim and then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. "Yes, it's pronounced Unhei." "And it means grace," Mr. Kim added. "Unhei," Joey said slowly, this time perfectly. It made Unhei smile. "I'll have it ready for you tomorrow," said Mr. Kim to Joey. "Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you Monday, Unhei," Joey said to her. And he left before she could ask him why he was in the store. On Monday, Unhei came to class early to look at the names one last time, but the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was a single piece of paper with a name on it. Unhei slipped it into her pocket. "Where is the name jar?" Ralph asked as soon as he saw it was gone. "I don't know," Unhei said. "It wasn't on Mr. Kokota's desk or on any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. As the other kids arrived, they helped look. Soon Mr. Kokotas came in and Ralph shouted at him, 'The name jar is gone, the jar with all the names in it.'" "Gone?" Mr. Kokotas replied with a look of concern. He asked Unhei, "Did you get a chance to read all the names?" Unhei nodded. She took a breath. "I'm ready to introduce myself," she said. Unhei wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. "I like the beautiful names and the funny names you thought of for me," she told the class, "but I realized that I like my name best, so I chose it again. Korean names mean something. Unhei means grace." "Grace? Grace Unhei," shouted Ralph. Everybody tried to say it. "Unhei, Unhei, Unhei." Unhei said her name again slowly and clearly. Soon the kids began to say it better. Even Mr. Kokotas. They applauded Unhei's choice. "I was named after a flower," Rosie whispered to Unhei. "Lots of American names have meanings too," Mr. Kokotas reminded everybody. And when the class was dismissed, Unhei heard her new friends say goodbye. "Bye, Unhei. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Unhei." Unhei said goodbye and then looked around for Joey, but he was already gone. "Unhei, Unhei, come downstairs," Mother called up to Unhei. "Your friend is here." Unhei rushed down to see who she meant, and there stood Joey, and in his arms was the name jar. "Where did you find it?" asked Unhei breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it, but only because I wanted you to keep your own name. And you did." He reached in and pulled out the names. "Do you want to keep them?" he asked. "Thank you. I will keep them as a souvenir," Unhei said happily. And then she pulled out a piece of paper from her pocket. "Do you want this back?" Joey grinned. "You can keep it. I'll return the jar to the class. Maybe you can put some Korean nicknames in it for us, names with good meanings." "I could do that," agreed Unhei. "I already got a Korean nickname," Joey said. "Mr. Kim helped me choose it." Carefully, he pulled a small silver felt pouch from his pocket, and then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on a piece of paper next to her name. "Chin-ku," read Unhei. "That means friend," and Chin-ku smiled back.